looking at me, I'm looking back.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Riya's Kitchen Corner. Today, as most of you guys know, is Halloween, and so I wanted to do something special. Today, we are testing out different recipes of pumpkin cookies to see which one is the best. I always liked pumpkin cookies. I think it's hard to get right, but once you get it right, it is amazing. So I really wanted to try these recipes out. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so first let's start with the dry ingredients. We already preheated our oven to 350 degrees. And this recipe is by All Recipes. We're just going to be testing out their recipe first. So the recipe calls for 2 1/2 cups of flour. So as you guys know, baking is an exact science. You really need to make sure to level out all your things. That's why I just have a handy dandy knife here with me. And you can just pull it across and it will perfectly level all your flour and stuff for you. So make sure it's the perfect amount. Just double leveling. And if you are short, just dip back in and get more. And okay, so 1 cup. This is a different recipe than usual for Riya's Kitchen Corner because we usually do my favorite recipes. Today we are trying out different recipes. That's 2 cups, and then we need 1/2 cup. Again, no matter how small the amount, make sure to level it. Then I'm just going to put that off to a side. Next, the recipe calls for 1 teaspoon of baking soda and 1 teaspoon of baking powder. Make sure not to get these confused. But some recipes, like this one, do call for both. So 1 teaspoon, and you just get it. And again, like I said earlier, no matter the small amount, you have to level it off. Next level, 1 teaspoon of that, and 1 teaspoon of this one. This one's actually a brand new one, so I will go ahead and open this up for us. And some things, like most baking powders, come with a leveler on side. So 1 teaspoon, and then you can just level it off on there. With these especially, you want to make sure not to use too much of them because these can make or break your cookies. So 1 teaspoon. Then we're just going to seal that off and put these off to a side. Make sure to roll up your sleeves. I'm just going to start by whisking these together, making sure that we start off with no lumps, then we end with no lumps. Okay. Next, we need to add 2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon. I just have the Kirkland brand ground cinnamon here, so I'm just going to use that. So just again, keep on leveling. So please let us know down below what you guys are doing for Halloween and what your favorite pumpkin recipe is. And we will try out all your pumpkin recipes and see which one is once and for all the best. So 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. And again, make sure you close and clean up as you go.
We also want to mention that we are filming this on Halloween. You may be seeing this maybe in November, so.
Yes, and we need 1/2 teaspoon of ground cloves and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. So let's start with the salt. You just need a 1/2 teaspoon, so I'm going to get my 1/2 right there. And dump that in. You also need 1/2 teaspoon of ground nutmeg, which we have here. This is just the McCormick kind. And I'm just going to unscrew that. For big measurements like this, you've used a 1/2 teaspoon. I like just unscrewing the top and level. You have to level. I know it may seem unnecessary for just 1/2 teaspoon, but leveling is very necessary. Put that on. Try not to make a mess like I did. But if you did, that's okay. You can just wipe it up with a paper towel. And if you have ground cloves laying around, you can use that, but we didn't. So I just have some normal cloves, which I'm just going to dump in here. And then I'm going to just freshly grind them with my mortar and pestle. There are some good things to fresh grinding your things like cloves. It has a certain flavor that you can't just replicate with pre-crushed ones, but if you do have it on hand, I would suggest using your pre-ground up ones. But sometimes this is an extra step, but if you really do want to go above and beyond, I would suggest doing this. And sometimes you can use a spice mixer, spice blender like we showed in our other video, or if it's easier, a mortar and pestle. And we just need a half of this. So that's in there. And now I'm gonna whisk all of our dry ingredients together. Make sure it's nicely incorporated so then the cinnamon and nutmeg and the things that really make these pumpkin cookies heavenly are well distributed. Like that. Ta-da! That is our dry ingredientes. Okay, now it's time to move on to our wet ingredients. Again, I just have the recipe pulled up on my phone. So like most recipes, I have a pretty big bowl today. But for like most recipes, you need to start off by creaming your butter and sugar. So I just have some butter, and then we just dump that into our bowl, just like that. And that's half a cup of butter or 1 stick. And then for sugar, we need 1 1/2 cups, which I know seems like a lot, but you know, we're here to test out the recipes. So this is 1 cup. One cup and 1/2 cup. Okay, we're gonna have to get more sugar after this. Then I'm just gonna plug in my hand mixer. Though you could cream it with your hands and a whisk, but that would take so much longer. So I do suggest just using a hand mixer. And we will be back once this is all creamed together. And so make sure you have your butter and sugar very well creamed. This took about, 5 minutes? So then now I'm just gonna pop in 1 egg, which is so uber satisfying. Just wash my hands. I don't want egg everywhere. I'm also gonna add 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Again, just get our teaspoon. 1 teaspoon of vanilla, which I was kind of nervous about because all the nutmeg and cloves. Vanilla is it's kind of different profile from that, but it's okay. And then 1 can of pumpkin puree. We just have the H-E-B brand, but if you have a certain brand that you like using, go ahead and use that. So we just have this automatic can opener, and you can see where to get it from in our Amazon Gadgets video, which will be either linked now or linked at the beginning in the card. But yes, while that's opening, I'm just gonna whisk my vanilla and egg in here. And this is kind of the base of our cookie, because you know, it's the wet ingredients. It's what makes our cookie delicious and doughy. Okay, so that's still going. We have to combine those 3 things. I'm just gonna give our flour over here a little whisk. And I'm gonna put the vanilla and our knives and measurements to the side, because now after this, it's just gonna be this, this, and this. So it is almost done. It's a little bit to go to finish opening. And then, see? It's all opened. Okay, which I just peeled it off. And then I'm just gonna scoosh that 1 can of pumpkin in. Make sure to get every little last drop.
Keep in mind you need the whole can.
Yep. And it actually smells so good. I love the smell of pumpkin. And I spilled a little bit over here. So I'm just going to get a napkin and wipe it up. So then, again, we're just going to mix this mixture till it's smooth. Make sure to get your elbows in there. Make sure it's nice and smooth, just like that, kind of fluid. Now I'm gonna add the flour in a little bit at a time. So I added about half of a third, and I'm just gonna gently mix that into our cookie batter. Make sure you get all the edges, that is important. Now I'm gonna mix in another half of our batter. The third, I should say. And then I'm just gonna put in the rest of our batter. It is looking so good now. It's pumpkin-y smell is filling the air. Okay, so just mixing the last of the batter, or the last of the flour. That is it. Our gorgeous batter is done. Oh my god, the batter is so totally gorge, and it smells so good. So the recipe says it can make up to 36 cookies. So just for the purpose of the video, I'm just gonna make one baking sheet full, but you guys can make less or more. So to grease this, it didn't give specific instructions, but I'm just going to use some cooking spray. This is just canola oil. I'm just going to move my phone out of the picture so it doesn't get greasy. And then it just says take them, scoop up an ice cream scoop with, and plop them down. It may get a little stuck. And just flatten them a bit. It says you can also experiment with ice cream scoops and stuff like that. So I'm just gonna try this other ice cream scoop and just see which one is easier for this. I think this one. And also be cautioned, it will probably spread a ton because again, this is pumpkin. So I think I'm just gonna make rows of 4. You can see Jan trying to get some stuff out of the way so you guys can see better. Shout out to Jan. So then another plop. This is perfect for just a late night in with fire, when you're with the fire, or if you are going to hang out with somebody while wearing a mask. Do remember, we are in a pandemic. So again, and my hands are very squeaky clean. I washed them and double washed them before this. So it is okay. And I think I can fit one more row in here, which is using up a lot of my cookie batter, which is good. So these are super soft and airy. I can tell just by touching this batter that these cookies are going to be so soft and airy and dreamy. Okay, and now it said, after I just wipe off my finger, it said put it in for 15 to 20 minutes. So I think I'm going to put it in for 17 and we'll see from there. So you know the drill. Open this up, plop it in.
Again, the oven preheat is 350.
15 minutes and started. Okay, as you guys can see, we have 18 seconds left. So I ended up putting it for 3 more minutes to make it go in for 20 minutes. And the kitchen smells wonderful. I just have a rack. And before we show you how it tastes and stuff, we're gonna have to let it cool for 10 minutes. There's the timer. And cancel the oven. Oh my lord.
You can also make glaze, but we just decided not to.
Yes. Look at those cookies. Let me put my other glove on that I can properly hold it up to show you. But look at those cookies, guys. and they smell delicious. We'll come back for the taste test. Okay, so we've let these cool for 10 to 20 minutes, and now it's time to just take them on off. So I'm just using a spatula because I want them to come off nice and whole. And I know they will, because remember earlier when we sprayed these with baking oil to make sure they would just slide on off, just like that. They are perfect. They're coming off so nicely and perfectly.
Also, after they came out of the oven, they were kind of squishy. That does not mean that they are raw. Just wait a few minutes and yeah.
Yes, just as what Jen said, I was about to bring that up. If they are still squishing the center, that is fine. They're gonna finish internal baking or whatever once they're on the tray and chilling out. So I'm just gonna move this aside. I'm gonna move this aside as well. And we're just gonna get Jen in here with us, and she's gonna taste these cookies. So we'll just split one. And so here's what the inside looks like. So nice, fresh and delicious.
Ooh, look at that. That's
Cheers.
So cute.
Mmm. These are so fluffy and delicate. Though if you want a more pumpkin-y taste, you can add some pumpkin extract, but these are super good. Super light, super airy. This is definitely a thumbs up, a win. Make this recipe, okay? Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell if you want to see us try out more recipes. We'll see you in the next episode of Riya's Kitchen Corner.